Hi, everybody. Joe Cioffi here. Weather in 5 days in 5 minutes. We got a lot to talk about tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. Beryl is inland and now spreading heavy rains out of Texas and up the Mississippi and Ohio River valleys over the next 2 days. Steamy weather continues in the east through midweek and probably beyond that. And we've got excessive heat and record high temperatures in the west. So all of that tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, and that is at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. So, as we said, there's much going on today as we look across at the watches and warnings in the United States, especially out in the West, where we have excessive heat warnings and heat advisories. We've been setting all-time record highs in a number of places, especially in some of the desert areas like Death Valley and Palm Springs and Las Vegas, setting all-time highs. And there's probably going to be more of those today. Hurricane Beryl came inland overnight in coastal Texas, and the center passed fairly close to Houston. We are seeing residual tropical storm warnings that are up for areas well inland, and it's been pretty windy, even uh, well away from the coast with all of this. And of course, we're seeing heavy rains. Tornado watches up in eastern Texas and western Louisiana. We have flash flood watches that are up also from East Texas northeastward into southeast Oklahoma, much of the northern half of Arkansas, southern Missouri, and into southern Illinois. Meanwhile, in the east, heat advisories and also some air quality issues for eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England. And it's not in every county, but in a lot of counties, we've got the heat advisories up, and that's going to go on for another day or two. And we also have heat advisories across the Gulf states from the southeast Louisiana and Mississippi eastward into central and southern Georgia and through much of the state of Florida. And as we check out the satellite loop, in the eastern part of the United States, it's a sort of tropical look to the skies and also to the fact that the humidity is so high. We're seeing temperatures that are climbing up into the 90s in many locations. And there's not a whole lot in the way of thunderstorm activity going on. But in the meantime, Beryl is inland. You can see the signature and the loop here on the satellite as it moves northeastward, and it will continue to weaken, but there'll be an area of heavy rains that's going to move up through the Mississippi River Valley and eventually into the Ohio Valley, where the weather today, right, is actually quite nice. And of course, in the west, there's not a cloud in the sky anywhere from the Dakotas across the Rockies and to the west coast. It's just an absolutely sunny day, and that is sending temperatures. They are soaring into the 90s, the 100s, and in some cases over 110. So this is the loop from last night when it was getting better organized, and then since during the overnight, it became a hurricane with top winds at 80 miles an hour at landfall, and now, of course, that it's inland, we're seeing this move on to the northeast. This is the fourth landfall that this system has made. You don't get hurricanes that make four landfalls very often, but every once in a while you do. And this one, the Windward Islands, we had Jamaica, we had the Yucatan Peninsula, and now we have coastal Texas. The storm is going down in the weather history books as having accomplished quite a bit. Here's what the radar looks like this afternoon. It's quiet, pretty quiet up and down the eastern seaboard. We've got a little bit of shower and thunderstorm activity in eastern South Carolina and in southeast Georgia. You can see the heavy bands of rain that are moving northward. The green boxes are all flash flood warnings. The red box that pops up there is a tornado warning that was put out during this afternoon. And all of this, again, lifting up to the northeast. And the lead bands with some heavy rain have now reached up into parts of northern Arkansas and southeast Oklahoma. A little bit of shower and storm activity up in the northern lakes. And as we said, nothing much going on in the west. Storm Prediction Center has an enhanced risk from East Texas into northwest Louisiana and southwestern Arkansas. That comes with a 10% tornado risk. All of that being produced by Hurricane Beryl, the marginal risk pushing into southern Illinois. Small areas of marginal risk in the northern lakes, northern New Mexico, and into southwest Texas. Now, for tomorrow, the marginal to slight risk, and again, this is also due to what's left of Beryl from southeast Missouri and extreme northeastern Arkansas up into western Kentucky, southern Indiana, and southern Illinois. Also, an area of marginal risk from Maine down into southern New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and much of Connecticut and Rhode Island. And this comes, by the way, in the area in the Ohio Valley, a 2 to 5% tornado risk there. And on day 3, which is Wednesday into Thursday, this is when we're going to start to see the chances for showers and storms increasing in the Northeast and Mid Atlantic states, where we have a marginal risk across southern New York, northern Pennsylvania, northwesternmost New Jersey, the Hudson Valley, probably from Orange County and northwestward into the Catskills, and then on northward up to about I-90. The rainfall amounts going forward, this is going to be one of those instances where there's going to be a lot of rain. It's going to be more inland than at the coast. We're seeing a half to 3/4 of an inch over the next 7 days for coastal southern and southeastern New England down to central and South Jersey into the Delmarva Peninsula, southeast Virginia, eastern North Carolina. But then you push inland and you're talking about an inch and a half, and in some cases in upstate New York and into central New England, as much as 2.5 to 3 inches. Some of that is going to be from the remnants of Beryl. Also, we're seeing this stripe of 5 inches plus on top of what's already fallen, by the way. Eastern Texas, western Arkansas, southeastern Missouri, and extending up into central Illinois. Not a whole lot of rain in the rest of the Gulf states from Mississippi over into Georgia. The amounts pick up as you get into the coastal Carolinas and northern and central Florida, and nothing of consequence as far as the West is concerned. So, as we take a look at what we can expect this week, and of course, we've got these steamy conditions here in the East. Temperatures will be in the low and even some middle 90s this afternoon for tomorrow and Wednesday, particularly from eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England, southward down into Virginia. The further south you go, the hotter the temperatures will be. You see the remnant low with Beryl bringing rains up into the Ohio Valley on Tuesday and Tuesday night. We may see some scattered thunderstorm activity in inland areas Tuesday night. I think there's a better chance for them probably coming Wednesday night and Thursday as the Beryl remnant low goes into northern Ohio and then eventually moves its way up the St. Lawrence Valley. I think the heavier rain is going to be to the north, upstate New York, from Michigan to upstate New York and into central and northern New England, and less in the way of showers and storms to the south, although there will be some Wednesday night into Thursday morning, and then there might be some scattered activity as we go into Friday, and then moving on into next weekend. And as far as the West is concerned, it's just hot, hot, hot with this ridge in the western part of the United States, and you've got a ridge off the Atlantic coast, and the trough is sort of in the middle, which is why all the rain is actually going to go more north and west rather than move toward the eastern seaboard. So it's a summer week in July. The only thing that makes it a bit different is the fact that we have a dying hurricane, which you don't normally see in the early part of July. All of this, though, will be talked about in great detail tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. We hope to see you then.